I'm really going to talk about Refresh Your Website for winter. So we've spoken a little bit about what we can do, how to optimize. And as Amy said, really, like when you're running an e-commerce business, you're always thinking about optimizing for winter and for the holiday season, because that's really the most prominent time throughout the year. So this is me. I'm not going to talk too much about myself, but I have had the luxury to work with amazing brands. So 3 years ago, I started working for Qubit. There were 25 people. Simon Dean was there. There were 25 people. It was in London. I started working with TOPSHOP and Farfetch. They were one of our first customers. And then a year and a half ago, I actually went from London. I moved over to New York to set up the client team, and I got the luxury to start working with couple of more awesome brands like BB, Mr. Porter, etc. So I'm going to share a couple of my experiences that I've had with these brands, a couple of things that I think are really useful to know for any e-commerce business, and specifically a lot of different things that you can do right now to start thinking about how you optimize for the winter season, for the holiday season. I know it's June. Is it June? I know it's June and I know it's sunny outside, but time goes around quickly. So first, I'm going to talk about let the winter games begin, a couple of stats, and I'm going to ask a couple of questions. So what percentage of annual sales do you guys think are attributed to the winter holiday shopping season? And when I talk about the winter holiday shopping season, I'm talking about from Black Friday to Christmas. So it's a little bit less than a month. Do you guys think it's more than 10%? More than 15? Do you guys think it's more than 20? Hands up who thinks it's more than 20. Wow. It actually is 20. It's actually 20. It's less than a month, but it's actually 20% of annual sales are attributed to that period of less than a month. It also, as you guys have noticed, year on year, this is increasing. So if you think about Black Friday, we have Black Friday for the first time in Europe. It crashed approximately 80% of websites. But Black Friday is growing. Cyber Monday is growing. So for that particular holiday weekend, year on year, how much do you think it's growing? Do we think it's more than 10%? Do we think it's more than 20%? Who thinks it's more than 20%? It is 15.4%. Still a lot, still a lot. Cool, so as you guys know, holiday is important. So I'm really going to touch on 3 core reasons why it's important to optimize for this season. This is actually a graph from our customers. So you can see a massive spike between November and January, really. Like you see 3 big spikes. First spike, as you can imagine, is around Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Second spike is Christmas shopping. Third spike is January sale. So everything goes off. You can see that 2.4 times more traffic is coming to your site in the Christmas or in the holiday shopping period. But only 2 times more page views are generated by that amount of traffic, which means that you acquire more people are coming to your site, but they're actually not as engaged with your site. And as I mentioned, 20% of yearly sales are occurring in that period. So what can you do to actually optimize? The winter code freeze. I'm sure that most of you guys are aware of this, but especially large e-commerce businesses. I work with businesses at September, they say, nah, nothing more, nothing changing. We already have all our deployments set. Like our final development deployment is literally the end of September. So the average cutoff date for code freeze for e-commerce businesses is 30 days before Thanksgiving, which means that you need to get your stuff sorted before that happens. And first impressions matter. First-time visitors are going to make up the largest proportion of your site traffic when it is holiday. But it also means that these visitors are new, they're fickle, they don't really care that much about your brand yet. They really just want to figure out what they should buy for their relatives, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever that may be. That also means that this is the perfect period to put your best foot forward, to create an experience that is actually engaging, that sets you apart and puts your best foot forward. So rather than just acquiring those customers for that particular period, which is highly promotional, you actually acquire them for the rest of the year, and they're going to come back in 2016. So now I'm going to talk about how you put your game plan into action. I think we all agree that holiday shopping is important. But before I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the test methodology. And luckily, Amy has already, put it together perfectly for me. But it's important to know what you're testing. When you're doing something, what is it that you're testing? Are you testing the positioning? Are you testing the message? Are you testing what visitor segment it's best for? Do you require clear view on performance? And this absolutely relates to that video clip. If you're doing a campaign, you don't really care, it's something that you feel is in line with your brand, that's cool. But if you actually need to sit down with your management team and explain what you've done, and they require a clear view on how that has performed, it's important that you do the following. What is your primary success metrics? A lot of companies out there, they tell you have, 25 different goals, track engagement here, track engagement there. But what data point are you actually going to make a decision on? So say, for example, if you have 5 success metrics, if 3 of them are positive and 2 of them are negative, are you going to roll it out? What are you going to do next? So find that primary success metric. If this is positive or this is negative or if this doesn't do anything, that's what I'm going to base my decision on. Is it in line with your brand? It's not all in the numbers. I'm very data-driven. I've always done analysis in my life. But at the end of the day, you need to create something that is in line with what your brand is about, something that you're proud of, and something that also is focusing on long term. And is there integrity with your analysis? Our CTO always says, if you interrogate data, it'll come fast. And it's absolutely true. You can butcher data for as much as you want, and you will find a segment, you will find a data point that is positive. Try not to do this. Try to think of these 4 things. Determine your success metrics. So what are you actually measuring? Calculate your sample size. So rather than say like, let's go for it and we'll see what happens, before you start something, well, how many people do I require to actually understand what the impact is? If I'm thinking about a 5% increase in conversion rate, how many people do I need to statistically say that has a 5% increase in conversion rate? Which comes to my 3rd point, statistical power and significance. So do I have enough information to draw conclusions from, and how significant is it? Because at the end of the day, when you're testing, what you're really doing is you're making a forecast based on what you observe. If what you're observing isn't significant, how can you possibly make a forecast based on this? And then the final one is regression to the mean. People get really excited when you launch a test, there's a lot of volatility, a lot of people are not aware with that concept, and there's a really big impact. And high fives around the room, everybody's pumped, and then it slowly narrows down. That's really because you're acquiring more sample, and that is what it's supposed to do. That volatility decreases, and your actual impact is regressing to the mean. And if it is a positive impact, it will show that continuous positive impact. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't, that means that you're just looking at a false positive. So the first thing that I want to talk about is get your ship together. I know, good wordplay. So why is it important to get your ship together? So free shipping has shown a 30% increase in overall basket value. We all know that that is a good thing. But we looked at all the data for exit feedback. Exit feedback is an open-ended question. Qubit customers have it. When somebody leaves the site, a light box shows and it says, what do you like, what don't you like? It's not pushing people towards saying anything, which means that we get a lot of open-ended, or we get a lot of feedback that is miscellaneous, but also very, very relevant and useful. And in general, price is the #1 topic that people complain about. It's too expensive, I can't find my discount code, etc., etc. Now, that is throughout the year. The only time when price is not the #1 topic across our 400 domains that we service, it's during Christmas and during holiday. And during that time, it's actually shipping and returns, which means that it's super important that you get this right before that period starts. And then the final point is customers cancel orders. They do it all the time. Like they order things and then they're like, oh, I'm not sure whether it's going to be delivered in time. Oh, I found something in store and they cancel it. That is really not that great for your business. So how to get your ship together? 4 things that I think about, and there are many more things that you can do. Understand what your most profitable free shipping threshold is. You don't have to say free shipping over whatever, but is it $50? Is it $50? Is it $100? What is most profitable for your business? Personalize your message based on visitor attributes. Is it relevant for somebody that's in Canada that you talk about US shipping? Probably not. Or somebody international. Is it relevant for somebody to know that your basic shipping is going to take 5 days if the cutoff date is in 3 days? Again, probably not. So make sure that you personalize the relevant messaging based on what you know about that visitor. Be transparent and manage expectations. Customers don't really like surprises, so try to message things up front as well. If they come all the way down to the checkout and then find out something, they're like, nah, and they just turn around and walk away, specifically during Christmas. And then use heuristics where relevant and where it's enticing. Customers in e-commerce businesses also have the tendency during the period to have like countdown timers and pointers and bells ringing everywhere. When it's not relevant, it's just really, really distracting. So try to be smart about where you place those heuristics. So find your threshold. Who here has done any testing to determine what their most profitable threshold is? Okay, 4 people. Who bases it on competition? Who's basing it on the highest paid person in the room? Thinks that's gut feeling? Okay, so this is actually not that hard to do at all. It's just thinking things through properly. So run 1 to 4 viable variations against your control. We've done this with BB as well. And with viable options, I mean, what do you want to put forward? Like if you're never going to show free shipping because it's not in line with your brand, then there's no reason having a variation that's free shipping if it's never going to be signed off by the board or management. So take 1 or 4 viable variations against your control. Make sure that you execute everything identically throughout. So if your control doesn't have a promotion code, but you're going to create a shipping threshold, so free shipping over $30, use free ship 30. If that promotion code doesn't need to be entered for your control, you don't have a clear control. So make sure that that execution throughout is identical. You're just testing the threshold. Rather than just taking conversion rate into account, because if you're going to get free shipping, conversion rate will go up, which is really surprising, I know. You have to also take other things into account. So if you use a promotion code, if your threshold is low, more people will probably use that promotion code because it's more relevant than if your threshold is $200. So that means like you give more free shipping away when your threshold is low, which means that you're not going to make as much profit from your shipping, because I'm guessing most e-commerce businesses make, say, $1 off their shipping per order. So make sure you take that into account. Obviously, revenue, average order value, is your average order value decreasing when you give free shipping or not? What is the return rate? If you give free shipping, do more people return their orders or not? Take those things into account and actually create a holistic analysis. If you work with Qubit, lucky you, you can work with a strategist that can do that analysis for you. And then finally, do not interrogate your data. Be sensible and apply sensibility and integrity. So don't try to find what you want to find. That's what I'm trying to say. Manage expectations. So it's really important that you start messaging cutoff times. And I know it's not Christmas yet, so there's no need to say, hey, ship now. In 145 days, you get it in time. But try to start figuring out what concept works and what works in terms of placement and what works in terms of messaging. So this is something that we did for LK Bennett. It is actually for Christmas, but think about creating urgency for the weekend. If you have like a nice weekend dress shop, start doing cutoff time like, hey, order now and get it before the weekend. See if that works and what placement works. Or think about a cutoff time for next day delivery and start playing around with it. So you have a really good, nice template for when Christmas shopping starts. And then this is a test that we've done with BB also around figuring out a little bit what estimation you should and shouldn't message. So it's good to be transparent, but it's not always good to be transparent. You want me to stand over there?
No, just points.
Oh, points. Sorry, here. You can see availability ships within 1 business day, estimated delivery between 10th of May and 10th. Oh, that's not true. You guys do dates differently. Between the 5th and the 7th, right. So what this is showing is actually, BB has a warehouse in California. So if you're close to California, and this changed depending on where you were in terms of location. If you're close to California, your delivery will be there between 2 or 3 days. If you're not so close to California, say you're somewhere on the East Coast in Maine, then actually it could take 5 to 7 days. So what we did is we did the analysis, like in terms of the radius and how far people were away from the warehouse, messaged the appropriate estimation delivery date, and got an understanding of where should we stop saying this is when we estimate that you're going to have it delivered. So with them, it was 2 to 3 days, perfect. People loved it, increased conversion rate, increased their propensity to actually purchase something. When it was 5 to 7 days, people were like, nah, just don't tell me. And it actually started decreasing conversion rate. And also the larger the range is, the more likely it is to actually be negative. So if you're quite accurate, you say between 1 or 2 days, perfect. Between 1 and 6 days, just don't message it. So also get an understanding and start testing and trying it out now. When should I be transparent? Be smart in the cart. I know there are lots of wordplays in this presentation. Be smart in the cart. So this is all about checkout optimization. Customer acquisition is expensive, specifically throughout holiday shopping. Everybody wants to acquire new customers. Everybody is like ramping up their AdWords campaigns, affiliate campaigns, display campaigns, etc. But you acquire customers that probably aren't that loyal yet to your brand and are going to shop around. So take that into mind. And then optimize for mobile. This is always important, and it's going to become more and more important. And at Qubit, we definitely want to move away from the whole perception, oh yeah, people just don't convert on mobile, because they don't convert on mobile right now. But what can we do to get them to convert on mobile? Because that's where we're going as just users in general. The screen sizes are becoming bigger. It's almost like my iPhone is pretty much a tablet. So that experience should be pretty similar to desktop. So what can we do? Specifically over the holidays, smartphones, conversion rose almost to 100%. Why? There's urgency, you need it now. You're in store, you're checking, you're like, order it. And also 30% of all holiday sales in 2014 were made on the mobile. This is only going to increase, which means that if you do mobile well, and if you do the checkout process well mobile, you're only going to win and you can leverage that benefit. So how to be smart in the cart? Apply best practices and do UX-focused designs right now. Like now, you have the time to play around. What is the best formation? Should you have a guest checkout? Maybe you shouldn't. How can you optimize these things? Optimize for mobile and really start thinking about mobile first, rather than, oh, mobile is just a subset of my group of users, and try to minimize the number of tabs that people need to make before they get to what they want. Message relevant checkout methods. So this is also important. If somebody isn't international, you don't have to message international checkout. If somebody doesn't have a promotion code, you might not have to open up the box, like put your promotion code in there, because I frankly just find it kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say annoying, but when there's a massive promotion code box and I'm like, I don't have a promotion code, I'm going to go away and see if I can find one, even though I'm not even price sensitive. But also PayPal, that sort of thing. Those things are all relevant checkout methods. And then leverage third-party technologies. This is the perfect opportunity to understand what third-party technologies can you actually optimize and test to support you throughout that holiday period. So there are a couple of things that I'm going to talk about. One is Dr. J's, and actually Marisha from Dr. J's is in the room. Leverage live chats. So understand when you should trigger live chat. And this is, in general, we do this with a lot of customers, is getting a better understanding as to what is the right time to trigger that live chat. Is it something that should be supported throughout checkout? But also, how can you optimize the resources that you need? So you can think about things. If there's an error on my checkout, should I then trigger my live chat? If it is a particular basket value, should I then trigger it? Or is there certain inactivity on the page? So just understanding and optimizing when you should trigger live chat, so you don't kind of put too much pressure on your customer service team, so you really understand what's the perfect time to show this. And then optimizing for mobile. Test for the best card execution. I know that there are a lot of things out there. It will always depend on your demographic as well, and like what types of users you have. Like if you have an older demographic, they probably don't mind a light box in the middle of the page. If you have more savvy, younger demographic, they might do. So think about having like a little mini bag or a dynamic call to action. Farfetch has an amazing experience, I think, whereby if you add something to bag, your just add to cart its call to action basically changes to in bag, and then below there's a little link that says in checkout. It's not intrusive at all. It's exactly what you need. Or whether you just want to have a notification. Streamline messaging and placement around shipping, terms and conditions, where and when it should be placed. Specifically on mobile, you only have a certain amount of real estate. What information is really relevant and when is it relevant? On desktop, you can be a little bit more lenient because you're not actually blocking somebody's vision. And then communicate easy checkout methods, as I mentioned before. So one of the things that we've also done for Chubbies is one of our clients, and BB is actually for mobile, just point out that you have PayPal much earlier. So when you add something to their bag, boom, we use PayPal. It's super easy. It makes it a lot better for mobile users. You can do something fun. So for Chubbies, that's really their brand. We said, we got PayPal to make it pretty damn easy to check out. And then for BB, it's a little bit more subtle, where we just have below the call to action or check out with PayPal. And then the final part that I want to talk about is spoil your VIPs. Everybody talks about acquisition. Everybody cares about acquisition because we know it's important. But at the end of the day, 0.03% of all your traffic will generate 30% of revenue. 0.03, that's nothing. If you don't look out for that group of users, you're gonna actually decrease your revenue. It's so important that you care about those people. If I go to a store that I go to a lot, way too often, they know my name, I feel super good. They already have stuff hanging in like the little check in my dressing room. They're like, Dama, do you want champagne? Do you want a little bit of tea? What would you like? And it makes you feel so good, and I'll never go to another store. We haven't done that on e-commerce. We only incentivize new customers. Here, you're a new customer, get 10% off. But what about me? I spent so much money there, and I don't get anything. So it's important that you care about this, specifically throughout holiday. A couple of other stats. 5% increase in customer retention can increase your profitability as a business by 75%. Reciprocity is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Cialdini. He has this framework, which are the principles of persuasion. There are actually ways to manipulate people to do what you want them to do. But reciprocity is one of the strongest ones. When you give something, people give back. It's innate. That's what we do. So take that into mind. And also, as Simon said, 90%, almost 90% of companies plan to compete on customer experience. It's not going to be about point solutions. It's about how do you create the most amazing customer experience for these people. So one of the things that we've actually done with Calypso, St. Barth, is we could identify their VIP customers based on their lifetime revenue, based on their predicted average order value, but also based on how long they've been a customer. And if you were identified as a VIP, holiday is, I mean, I find holiday shopping really painful. I'm not sure about you guys. Terrible. But for them, we actually created a VIP holiday support. So you have like your normal customer support phone numbers. But if you qualified for those criteria, you would get a phone number that you didn't have to wait to get somebody on the line. You could just call up and boom, you would get a representative that could support you in whatever issues that you've had. So important, understand who your VIPs are. And whether that's based on CRM data, whether it's based on on-site behavior, whether it's based on store data, try to consolidate that information so you actually have a really good idea of who are the people, who are my 0.03%. Give back to them. Just be nice and delight them with the best customer experience. So it doesn't always have to be promotional. Just by pointing out that you know that they're special already goes a long way. So, yeah. I'd say what you can do now is start figuring out who are my loyal customers. Test the impact of different propositions. Free delivery, is it express delivery? Is it early access to things? We've also created that. So for customers that are very valuable, just give them early access to your sale. You don't actually have to do something different. Just open it up just for them. And complete a custom profit analysis. It's important when you do give promotions that you understand how profitable is this actually for your business. So here you can see TOPSHOP did exactly the same. They didn't even mention it. Whenever somebody fulfilled that VIP status, they would just say, don't forget you've got VIP Express delivery. Just select that and you'll have it for free throughout your checkout. And then the final slide. I know that I have to wrap up. I can see you in the corner. The final slide is the optimal approach to testing. all of these things are great. They're not all going to work for you guys. Some will win, some will lose, some will do absolutely nothing. So what do you do? Things that are winning, it's easy. You know, you get excited, you high five, but try to retain a 5% control group so you can continuously understand whether that impact changes, and you always know that you're still driving revenue. I've had examples whereby things were doing really, really well, demographic changes, seasonality changes, your proposition changes, and then actually it starts bombing. Bombing is not really the technical word, but it starts decreasing your revenue. For losers, be really thankful. Don't ignore them. Don't just pretend that that never happened, but be really grateful that you've tested them before you've actually implemented that to your site, and dig deeper. Try to understand, why did it lose? Did it lose because it wasn't in line with my brand? Did it lose because it was the wrong execution? Did it lose because it was just a terrible idea? Or is it that something didn't work on your site? So dig deeper, do an additional analysis, come up with a new hypothesis, and just retest it. And if there's no change, I know that can be the most frustrating, and that's also probably, if you run with a good stats model, most of the things that you do will probably not have an impact on your site. It's quite rare that you find something that significantly alters the user's behavior. So the majority will be no change, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that you're losing. It means that you can still learn from those guys. You can still get an understanding. Is there a particular segment for who to use, for it is working? If that is the case, retest it just for that segment. Is it again, like, try to just dig deeper and get a new hypothesis and retest it. And, you know, iterate. I think that was it. Oh, sorry, that wasn't it. 2 big ideas. 2 big ideas for the holiday season. Beyond, this is all quite functional. I don't know whether it was dry. When I was making the deck, I thought it was a little bit dry, so I wanted to put 2 tests that I think are really great for the holiday season. One of the things that we've done for T-Turtle, which is awesome, Black Friday is their biggest sale of the year. And it's a t-shirt company it's a geeky t-shirt company, really cool, in St. Louis. But what we did is we battled 2 t-shirts against each other on the homepage. So we had Love and Justice and Floating Through Space, and we battled them against each other based on the page views. So whichever got more page views would win, and that would just be for that hour, and then that t-shirt would be available against a promotion or against a discount. And people would go crazy. They would come back to the site like 10 times. It was trending for hours. So that's something really fun that we did for Black Friday sale for them. Then for Toast, we created a 12 Days to Christmas event calendar. Again, it's a really nice way of getting people back to your site and engaging them with different content. And yeah, counting down to like the cutoff date for delivery or until Christmas. So those are 2 big ideas. What I would say to you guys is, you know, in general, like, if you start doing all these things, applying all these things, try to find a vendor that doesn't limit you. And you really should be able to execute whatever you want and like come up with like the coolest ideas and yeah, learn from them. Thank you.